Welcome to the BlockReel Film Industry Podcast, your daily source for cinematography insights, production strategies, and the latest from the independent film world.
It is great to be back in the studio.
And what a day to be here. It is Sunday, January 25, 2026. We are kicking off the week with something massive.
We really are. We've been teasing this for a few weeks in the newsletter, but today we are finally pulling back the curtain on the new methodology we've been developing internally here at BlockReel.
Exactly. We were talking about engineering the invisible. Today's all about moving beyond the logistics of filmmaking, the trucks, the schedules, the catering, and diving straight into the psychology of the image. But before we unpack that, we have a special announcement regarding the project we've been hinting at.
Yes, consider this your official heads up. Today we are previewing our upcoming pillar guide, Engineering the Invisible, a cinematographer's guide to metaphorical script breakdowns.
And this is the big one.
Oh yeah, this is the culmination of months of research, interviews with top DPs, and, rigorous on-set testing.
And to be crystal clear for everyone listening, this guide is currently in final prep. It goes live on the blog this coming Tuesday, January 27th, 2026.
That is 2 days from now.
2 days.
So if you want the templates, the breakdown sheets, the C2PA workflows, and the specific manifesto examples we're about to discuss, you need to be ready.
So here's what you need to do. Go to blockreeldow.com/blog right now. Pause this. Do it now. Subscribe so you get that notification the second the guide drops. You are not going to want to miss this.
Trust us, this is going to change how you approach pre-production. It's like the playbook we wish we had 5 years ago.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to give you an exclusive preview of two concepts that we believe are the new professional standards for 2026 cinematography: the thematic audit and the visual manifesto.
And these aren't just buzzwords. This is an insider look at how we, the BlockReel team, and the industry at large are redefining the pre-production workflow. It's about ensuring that every single pixel has a purpose.
Right.
We're moving away from shooting coverage and moving toward capturing intent.
So let's start with the problem. I think we've all been there. You get a script, you open your breakdown software, whether it's Movie Magic or something newer, and what's the first thing you do?
You start tagging.
You start tagging.
Exactly.
And day-night. Prop cast.
Right. It's the logistical shuffle. And don't get me wrong. You need to know if you're shooting outside or inside. You need to know if you need a generator or if there's a dog in the scene. But the problem with traditional script breakdowns is that they are purely logistical.
Purely.
They are artistic dead ends.
They tell you what you're shooting, but they don't tell you how, or more importantly, why.
Exactly. If you're just tagging EXT Park Day, you aren't doing the work of a cinematographer. You're doing the work of a line producer. And while line producers are vital, if the DP is thinking like a line producer from the jump, you end up with a flat, functional image.
And that's where this first concept comes in.
That's where the thematic audit comes in.
Define that for us. What is the thematic audit?
The thematic audit is the process of extracting the emotional spine of the script. Before a single lens is chosen, before you even look at a lighting plot, you have to identify the singular dominant metaphor or psychological current driving the story.
Emotional spine. I like that.
Yeah.
But it sounds a bit abstract. Give us a concrete example of a spine.
Okay, so it could be isolation, it could be fractured trust, it could be something like existential dread. It's the underlying truth the film is trying to explore. It elevates the job from visual storytelling to visual thought.
Visual thought. I love that distinction. Because storytelling can sometimes just mean make sure the audience sees the gun.
Right.
Visual thought is make sure the audience feels the fear of the gun.
Precisely. It's about the subtext. If the scene is about a couple arguing, the plot is the argument. The spine might be the distance between them. And if the spine is distance, then even if they are sitting next to each other, you might shoot them with a wide lens to exaggerate the space, or frame them in separate boxes within the frame.
So how do we actually do this? Because in our guide, we break down a very specific methodology. It's not just sitting around thinking deep thoughts. It's a workflow.
No, it's rigorous. We call it the 3 to 5 reads rule. You cannot do this in one pass. I think a lot of younger filmmakers make that mistake. They read the script once, get the gist, and start picking cameras.
So walk us through the reads. What's read one?
Read one is phenomenological immersion.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It means no notes, put the pen down, put the iPad away, turn off the phone,
Wow.
just read the script and let it wash over you. You're looking for the visceral response.
The gut feeling.
The gut feeling. Where does your heart rate go up? Where do you feel tension? Where do images form unbidden in your mind? It's about feeling the story before you analyze it, treating your body like a sensor.
You're the first audience member.
Exactly. If you start analyzing lighting setups on page 10 of the first read, you've engaged your analytical brain and shut off your emotional brain. You need that raw data first.
Okay, so that's read 1, pure feeling. Then what?
Read 2 is the active hunt. Now you can pick up the pen. Now you're looking for patterns, recurring motifs. Is there a constant mention of glass? Is there a recurring theme of silence? Is the weather always described as oppressive? You're gathering evidence like a detective.
And then read 3.
That's the visual mapping. This is where we use tools like MindMeister or XMind. You are actively linking those abstract ideas to visual manifestations. You're building a network of nodes, emotional states connecting to visual elements. So oppression might link to low ceilings, which might link to top lighting. You see the web.
One trick we highlight in the guide, which I absolutely love, is the audience proxy trick.
This is crucial for prioritization. You read the script to answer one single question. What is the single most resonant emotional takeaway?
If you asked a casual viewer, not a film critic, just a regular person, what the movie felt like, what would they say?
And that answer is your spine.
That answers your spine. It prevents you from trying to do too much. It prevents the kitchen sink aesthetic. We see this all the time in indie films. The DP tries to make it look like a horror movie and a comedy and a drama and a sci-fi all at once.
And it just becomes mud. If you try to film isolation and redemption and comedy all with equal weight, you end up with sludge. You need prioritization. You need to know what the loudest instrument in the orchestra is.
We also mentioned reading the script aloud. This comes from Greg Fraser, right?
It does. Greg Fraser is a huge advocate for this. When you read aloud, you hear the rhythm. You hear the pauses, you hear the emotional inflections. It reveals the spine in a way silent reading just doesn't.
And for the workflow part of this?
Well, practically, we're seeing a lot of DPs using scriptation, which is still just roughly $20 a year, to sketch visual ideas directly on the page while they do this.
Scriptation is such a great tool because it lets you keep those layers. You can have your emotional layer and your technical layer.
Exactly. And reading aloud helps you find the tempo. Is the dialogue fast and snappy? Maybe that means the camera needs to be energetic. Is it slow and brooding? Maybe the camera needs to be static. The sound informs the image.
Now, that's 2026. We have to talk about the AI elephant in the room. Where does AI fit into the thematic audit? Is it a threat?
It's an assistant, not a replacement. That is the BlockReel stance, and we are very firm on this. We're seeing tools like Filmustage, which runs about $29 a month, doing incredible things with initial spine detection.
So you feed the script in and it tells you the theme.
Ideally, yeah. It can do a first pass in about 2 minutes. It spots patterns, maybe tracks how often fear is mentioned versus anger. It gives you a word cloud of emotion. It's a great starting point. But, and this is a big but, the soul of the audit must be human. AI is great for checking your work or finding things you missed, but it can't feel the script. It doesn't have a heart rate. It doesn't get goosebumps. If you rely on AI to tell you what the movie's about, you are creating synthetic art, period.
Let's ground this. We always love a good case study. Let's talk about A Quiet Place and Polly Morgan's work on the sequel, or even the original concept.
This is a textbook example of a strong emotional spine. The spine wasn't just monsters, it was silence as a weapon.
And how did that one idea translate to the screen?
It dictated everything. It meant restrained lighting. It meant massive use of negative space. If silence is the character, then darkness is the environment it lives in.
And this is where it gets really interesting for the producers listening.
Right, because that thematic discipline led to a 15% reduction in lighting costs.
Wow. Wait, explain that math. How does a metaphor save money?
Because they didn't need complex, flashy setups for every single shot. They didn't need to light the background of the woods for 3 miles deep. The theme demanded that the background be terrifyingly dark.
And darkness is free.
Darkness is free. Light costs money. By committing to the theme of the unknown, they saved on the rental budget.
That is the ultimate argument for this method. It's not just artsy-fartsy. It saves money and makes the art better.
Absolutely. Efficiency comes from clarity. If you know exactly what you need, you don't rent the things you don't need.
Okay, so we have our spine. We know what the movie feels like. Now we have to tell the crew how to make it. This brings us to segment 2, crafting the visual manifesto.
This is the step where most productions fall apart. You have a great idea in your head, maybe you and the director have vibed on it, but you fail to communicate it to the gaffer, the operator, the DIT.
Yeah.
The visual manifesto is the solution.
Define it for us. What does this document look like? Is it just a mood board?
It is not a mood board. A mood board is a suggestion. A mood board is, here are some cool photos I found on Pinterest. A visual manifesto is a rigorous technical blueprint. It is a set of laws.
Laws, okay.
And the ratio we advocate for in the guide is 40% metaphor, 60% technical specification.
So it's a translation device.
Exactly. You start with the metaphor and you end with the setting on the camera.
We have a rule of 10 at BlockReel for this, right?
We do. Our standard for 2026 is a maximum of 10 core rules. Any more than that, and nobody reads it. If you hand your gaffer a 40-page document, it's going in the trash.
It's just too much.
Too much. And any less than 10, and it's probably too vague to be useful.
Give us some examples of this translation. So if my metaphor is drowning in regret, what is the technical rule in the manifesto?
Okay, so drowning in regret is the abstract. That's the feeling. The technical rule in the manifesto would be something like handheld destabilization for subjective POV, desaturated blue palette, specifically HSL 200-240, saturation under 30% with a green bias, tint negative 10.
See, that is specific. Tint negative 10. That's a number a DIT can hit.
Exactly. It removes the subjectivity. Make it sad is subjective. Saturation under 30% is objective. Here's another one. Vulnerability. That's metaphor. The rule. Close-ups on character X must be at T2.8 or wider. Critical focus on eyes only.
So if the AC pulls focus and gets the ears sharp but the eyes soft, that shot is dead.
Correct. Because it violates the manifesto. It creates a standard for quality control that everyone on set can understand and enforce.
I love that. It takes the guesswork out of it. And speaking of removing guesswork, let's talk about the kill rules. This is my favorite part of the manifesto concept.
It's often more important to define what you won't do than what you will do. A kill rule is a hard constraint. It's a line you do not cross.
Like what? Give me an example.
Let's say your spine is chaos or rawness. Your kill rule is absolutely no Steadicam or gimbals.
So even if the operator has a shiny new Ronin 4D, it stays in the truck.
It stays in the truck. Even if the director says, hey, a cool tracking shot would look nice here, you point to the manifesto and say, no, smooth movement contradicts the spine. It gives you the authority to say no to cool ideas that are actually wrong for the story.
This helps avoid the vague trap, right? We've all seen those director notes. Make it moody.
Ugh, make it moody. It's the most expensive instruction in Hollywood. It means nothing. It leads to the crew guessing, which leads to slow setups, which leads to expensive reshoots.
We reference Joker from 2019 in the guide regarding this.
Right. And this is a well-known story in the industry. Early cuts of Joker reportedly suffered because the manifesto wasn't specific enough initially regarding the visual distinction between Arthur and the Joker persona.
So they had different looks that weren't quite gelling.
Exactly. It led to tonality inconsistencies. They had to do expensive reshoots to unify the look. If you have a specific manifesto from day one, you save that money. You get the look right in principal photography.
And you can draft these right inside your screenwriting software now.
Yes. Kiltsex, Final Draft, they all have breakdown plugins now. You can link these rules directly to scenes. So when you print the sides for the day, the manifesto rules for those scenes can be printed right at the top. No excuses.
And it's 2026, so we are seeing these manifestos become digital assets.
We are. Our research shows about 65% of Netflix DPs are now using digital manifestos, sometimes securing them as NFTs for remote collaboration.
Now, hold on. When you say NFTs, people roll their eyes. We aren't talking about bored apes here.
No, absolutely not. Forget all that. We are talking about immutable ledgers. It ensures that if you're shooting in 3 different countries with 3 different units, every unit has the exact same unchangeable rulebook.
Ah, so nobody can accidentally edit the Google Doc and change the color temperature?
Exactly. It secures the creative intent across a global production. It's digital rights management for artistic choices.
That is fascinating. Okay, let's move to the physics of the image. Segment 3. Color science and lighting as metaphysics. This is where we get nerdy, and I love it.
This is where the rubber meets the road, or, where the photon meets the sensor.
We are talking about ACS 2.0. In the guide, we're calling this the 2026 benchmark. Why is it so important?
ACS 2.0 is crucial because it standardizes subtextual palettes. We aren't just grading for pretty, we're grading for meaning. ACS, the Academy Color Encoding System, ensures that what we see on set is mathematically consistent with what we see in post and what the audience sees in the theater or at home.
In the guide, we discuss the three-palette system. Break that down.
So you have your primary palette, which is the spine. That's the baseline reality of the film. Then you have the secondary palette, which represents conflict. And the tertiary palette for resolution. It's a narrative arc, but for color.
And we aren't just saying red or blue.
No, never just red. Red means nothing. Is it Ferrari red? Is it brick red? Is it blood red? We are defining colors by CIE 1931 color space coordinates. Scientific precision.
Okay, explain CIE 1931 for the listener who might be a producer or a writer and hasn't opened DaVinci Resolve in a while.
Think of it like a GPS map for color. The CIE 1931 chart maps all visible colors on an X and Y axis. Instead of telling the colorist, make it warmer, which is totally subjective, you give them the coordinates, X 0.45, Y 0.38. That is a specific point in the color spectrum. It creates an exact, undeniable target.
Let's look at the Batman with Greek Fraser again. The film had such a specific, almost sickly look.
The spine there was Gotham's pervasive rot. Not just darkness, but rot. Like the city was decomposing.
So how did that translate to color? What was the rule?
The rule was decaying primaries. They desaturated and muddied the colors. Sickly greens, rusts instead of true reds. It looked like the city was physically ill, and they would have defined these target hues using coordinates very early on.
And again, the efficiency angle. This saved time.
It resulted in a 30% reduction in grading time. Because they weren't searching for the look in post, they knew the coordinates before they rolled camera. They built custom LUTs lookup tables that forced the camera into that color space on set.
No warning. We have a section in the guide called Metaphors Fail on Faces.
This is critical. You can have a brilliant metaphorical color palette, say sickly green for envy, but if you put that on your lead actor's face, they just look jaundiced. They look like they have liver failure.
And that completely breaks the connection with the audience.
It breaks everything. We are biologically wired to read skin tone for health and emotion, so you have to protect it.
So what's the fix?
You have to use false color modes to ensure the emotional palette doesn't ruin the complexion. Paul Cameron talks about this a lot. You isolate the skin tones and protect them. You basically build a digital mask around the human face, keeping it in a healthy range, while the world around them carries the metaphor.
Let's talk about lighting. Not just illumination, but what we're calling metaphysical architecture.
This is thinking of light as a physical object, volumetric forms. Lighting isn't just about exposure anymore. It's about occupying space.
Oppenheimer is the gold standard here.
Oh, absolutely. Hoyt van Hoytema. The spine was quantum uncertainty.
Which is a hard thing to light. How do you light a concept like uncertainty?
It is, but he did it with practical volumetrics and hazing. He used light to physically embody internal struggle. It wasn't just actors in a room. It was actors in a soup of uncertainty. The air itself had texture and weight.
And practical effects versus digital.
They saved an estimated 20% on power compared to trying to do it all with digital effects later. Plus, the actors have something to react to. If you're standing in a beam of light that feels like radiation, you act differently than if you're standing in front of a green screen.
Let's talk gear. If we want that level of control, what are we using in 2026?
You need precise RGB-WW control. We're talking Nanlux Dyno 900C or the ARRI SkyPanel S60C or the newer Pro versions. These lights let you dial in those exact CIE coordinates.
And CRI matters?
CRI 90 Plus is non-negotiable. CRI is Color Rendering Index. It measures how accurately a light source reveals the true colors of objects. If you're building a precise color palette based on coordinates, you can't have cheap lights with a green spike muddying the spectrum. You need palette integrity.
And respecting the inverse square law.
Always. Physics is the law. The inverse square law dictates how light falls off over distance. Proper emotional fall-off creates intimacy or distance. You can't cheat physics if you want the emotion to feel real. A soft light close-up feels like a whisper. A hard light far away feels like an interrogation.
Okay, we've lit the scene, we've colored it, now we move through it. Segment 4. Kinetic language and geometrizing space.
Right, because the camera is the narrative pulse. It's not just a recording device, it's the narrator. It has a personality.
And we have to talk about 1917, Roger Deakins.
The ultimate example. The spine was the inescapable nature of war.
And the rule.
The continuous shot, it wasn't a gimmick, it was a trap. It trapped the audience in real time with the characters. You couldn't cut away, you couldn't escape. The camera movement was the metaphor. It forced you to endure every single second of the trek.
Now, in 2026, we have some new toys to help with this.
Yeah.
We're in the gimbal AI hybrid era.
Tools like the DJI Ronin 4D. It's around $7,000 now, very accessible for indie filmmakers. But the key isn't just the stabilization. It's that it allows for programmable, repeatable movements.
Repeatable is key. Why?
Because precision is emotional. If your manifesto says the camera orbits at exactly 15 degrees per second to show disorientation, the Ronin 4D can do exactly that every single take. A human operator breathes, they stumble, the robot executes the code.
And scheduling this feels like it takes time on set.
It does. You have to integrate movement choreography into the first AD's schedule. We use Set Hero for this in our workflows. You don't just schedule scene 4, you schedule scene 4 complex gimbal orbit. It takes time to program. If you don't account for that programming time, you blow your day.
Let's talk about framing. Geometrizing psychological space. That sounds intense.
It's about using the geometry of the lens to show the character's mind. Look at Poor Things and Robbie Ryan's work.
Such a wild, unforgettable look.
The spine was liberation and discovery. The rule was extreme wide angles, fisheye distortion. It showed Bella's unique, expanding worldview. She literally saw the world differently than everyone else, so the lens had to see it differently. The distortion wasn't a mistake, it was her perspective.
So we're moving away from the static rule of thirds, aren't we?
The rule of thirds is a guideline, not a law. It's a starting point. We're seeing dynamic grids, using apps like Shot Designer to map actor blocking to emotional beats. If a character feels cornered, put them in the corner of the frame. Don't center them just because the rulebook says so.
In neural comp, what's that?
This is the new 2026 tech, AI-assisted auto-framing suggestions. The AI analyzes the manifesto, the manifesto calls for isolation, and it suggests framing adjustments to better hit the psychological target. It might suggest pan left 10 degrees to increase the negative space behind the subject.
That is wild. It's like having a composition coach in your monitor.
It is. It's another set of eyes that never gets tired and knows your rulebook inside and out.
All right, let's pivot to something that I know is keeping a lot of our listeners up at night. Segment 5, the metadata of authenticity.
This is the elephant in the room. The 2026 context is defined by one thing: generic AI-generated content versus human artistry.
Everyone can prompt a video now. You can type cinematic shot of a detective in the rain into a model and get a decent image. So how do pro DPs stand out?
We have to prove that a human made the choices. That's where C2PA comes in.
The Content Authenticity Initiative.
Exactly. We call it the metadata of authenticity. It is the process of embedding a digital signature into the dailies pipeline. It verifies that a human DP made these decisions on a physical set with real photons.
Walk us through how this looks on set. Is it a hassle?
It's seamless now. So you're shooting, you set up a lighting scheme. In the metadata of that clip, you tag it. Scene 42 lighting, sculpted by DP on RE Sky panel, verified via light meter. The camera encrypts that data right into the file.
It's like a digital watermark of effort, of authorship.
It is, and it matters for two huge reasons. One, legal and IP protection under the DMCA. If your style is scraped by an AI model, you can prove, I shot this, here's the cryptographic proof. But two, market value.
The human hand is the premium product.
Exactly. In a synthetic era, people will pay more for something they know was crafted by a human. It's the difference between a factory print and an oil painting. The flaws, the choices, the struggle, that adds value.
And the studios are getting on board.
We are projecting 90% studio adoption of C2PA mandates by late 2026. If you aren't authenticated, you aren't getting distributed. The streamers want to differentiate their premium human-crafted content from the AI slush pile.
That is a massive shift. What tools do we need for this?
Trupic Verify is a big one. The Adobe CAI SDKs are integrating into everything, and most camera-to-cloud apps now have C2PA integration built in. You just have to turn it on in the settings menu.
Turn it on, folks. Protect your work.
It's your signature. Don't leave it off the canvas.
Segment 6, departmental integration and virtual production. We've done all this work, but filmmaking is a team sport.
You cannot work in a silo. The gaffer, the costume designer, the production designer, they all need breakdown sheets that translate the metaphor, not just the logistics.
We call these metaphor-lined breakdown sheets.
Exactly. Look at Barbie and Greta Gerwig. The pink spine was a strict rule across every single department.
It created a unified, constructed reality. It was total commitment.
And that only happens if everyone is reading from the same hymn sheet. If the production designer thinks the movie is gritty realism and the costume designer thinks it's pop art, you have an absolute disaster. The manifesto aligns the departments.
Who holds the sheet? Who enforces this?
The first AD. They become the custodian of the master emotional spine sheet. They ensure that the schedule respects the metaphor. If the metaphor requires golden hour light, the first AD schedules the shoot for golden hour. They protect the creative intent through the schedule.
And we can test all of this before we even shoot. Pre-visualization.
Unreal Engine 5.4. We're shooting the manifesto before physical production.
I love the concept we've developed of the spine fidelity score.
This is a system to rate your virtual shots. You build the scene in Unreal, you light it virtually, then you look at it and rate it 1 to 10. Does this capture the emotion of isolation? If it's a 4, you don't build the physical set yet. You keep iterating in Unreal until it's a 9.
The Lion King from 2019 basically did this.
They shot the whole film in VR to test the emotional beats. It works. It saves millions in physical construction costs.
And finally, the post-mortem. What happens after the film is done?
You have to create a spline library. What worked, what didn't. And for 2026, we're talking about the Master Blueprint, a blockchain-secured record of the project's creative evolution.
So the next time you shoot a film about isolation, you can look back and see exactly what technical rules worked last time.
It's about building a legacy of knowledge. We shouldn't be reinventing the wheel every single movie.
Incredible. We have covered a lot of ground today, from the 3-5 reads rule to C2PA metadata.
The industry is changing fast, but the core job hasn't changed. It's about translating emotion into image. We just have better, more precise tools to do it now.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? It means the days of winging it are over. Precision is the new creativity.
And authenticity is the new currency. You have to be able to prove your work is yours.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with a thought. We've talked about AI as an assistant, and we've talked about C2PA protecting your work. But imagine a future where the audience can see that metadata in real time, where they can toggle a setting on their screen and see the director's note or the DP's manifesto overlaying the scene as they watch. How does that change the relationship between the creator and the viewer? It's something to chew on.
Transparent cinema. I like it.
That wraps today's episode. For the complete guide with detailed breakdowns and templates, visit our blog at blockreel.com/blog. Subscribe to our channel for daily episodes covering cinematography, VFX, color grading, and production design. Thanks for listening, and keep creating.